Hey everybody, what's going on? This is Matt, and today I want to talk about learning languages with The Sims. And I think The Sims is a great video game for language learning. It's kind of a more casual experience, more laid-back experience compared to some of the other video games out there. But I do think it's a great resource, and I do think it's a great resource, especially if you're kind of more at an elementary skill level. You're not at super advanced level because you can enjoy the game and still get some language learning out of it. So I think that's really big. And what's great about The Sims 2 is that you can play the Sims 3, the Sims 4. I'm playing on the Sims 3 right now, but the Sims games are available in a ton of languages. So just from Steam alone, I'm looking at the Sims 3, and it's available in English, Czech, Danish, Dutch, Finnish, French, German, Hungarian, Italian, Korean, Norwegian, Polish, Portuguese, Russian, Spanish, Swedish, traditional Chinese. So I'll link all of the languages in the description below for the Sims 3 and the Sims 4. But really, because it's available in so many languages, I think that a lot of people can get value out of the game. So if you've been playing video games for a while, you probably have heard of The Sims, but really The Sims is just a life simulator. And there's really no audio content to be gained from The Sims. But what I do think The Sims is valuable from a language learning perspective is a great way to kind of get some vocabulary, but still kind of have a very fun and casual experience. So, even if you're at a very elementary skill level with the language that you're learning, you can play The Sims and you can get by not knowing all of the words, right? You can kind of get by visual cues, either in the menus or just kind of interactions with your characters. And I think that's a great way to learn vocabulary in context. And if you want to look up the words, you can just shift tab, for example, in Steam, have a separate tab open with Google Translate, and then translate words as you go. And so I think it's a great way to be having fun and learn vocabulary at the same time. And like I said, you can really get by in this game without knowing every single word. So a lot of it you can just go, like I said, look up in Google Translate or try to kind of infer the meaning through context. And so, the Sims is a great way to learn a lot of vocabulary, especially vocabulary that's kind of more everyday life vocabulary words. So words around the house, maybe interactions between different people. And so The Sims, I think, is excellent for kind of vocabulary, especially in that beginner phase. And like I said, it's not so overwhelming compared to other video games out there, where in other video games you really need to understand what's going on in the story or the menus to really enjoy the experience or to really know what's going on. But with The Sims, you really don't need that. You can have a lot of fun, just sit back, relax, but then pick up some language learning along the way. Now, as you go about learning languages with The Sims, I do think it's important to take your time still with the video game, right? Really do try to guess the meaning of things as you go about the game, whether that's interactions between characters or really take your time and when you are buying things for the house or something like that, to really look at the vocabulary word. And if you don't know things, look it up in Google Translate and really try to make language learning a part of the experience versus just ignoring it and trying to get around it, right? So even though it is a more casual experience, even though it is a lot more beginner friendly, it is easy at times to skip the language learning part of things, right? It's very easy to just try to play the game and just don't do any language learning. But I think it's important to slow down and just remember to occasionally look things up and try to get language learning out of your experience, right? Because it's very easy to ignore it. But with that being said, though, you don't have to look up every single word that you encounter that you don't know, right? Occasionally look up words, right? Because otherwise you're probably just playing a Google Translate game. But I do think it's worthwhile to occasionally look up phrases, look up words that you don't know, so that you're getting vocabulary acquisition, out of your experience. I think another thing that's really great about The Sims is that you're going to be seeing the same words again and again. So as you interact with characters, you're going to see that same vocabulary pop up again and again. For furniture in the house, you're going to see the name and that word for a certain item again and again, and it helps to kind of act as this natural repetition as you play the game. You're going to be naturally and slowly getting comfortable with the words and acquiring that into your memory. And I think that's really what's great about The Sims, is that you can get by with not knowing a ton, but still be getting language learning out of it. But I think, once again, the key here is to not completely ignore the language learning, because it's very easy to do that, but to, have that kind of concerted effort that you're trying to acquire vocabulary as you play the game. Now, despite these Sims being a little bit more of a casual and easier experience for people from a language learning perspective, especially beginners, it is, a possibility that you will get overwhelmed at points where you really don't know what's going on. There are a couple of points where there are paragraphs that you have to read that might have some vocabulary or some grammar that you don't understand. I think the key, like with any video game, is to not get overwhelmed, to take your time and use Google Translate when it makes sense, and to be okay with not knowing everything. I think that's really key with any video game, but even a game like The Sims, I think it's important to, be okay with not knowing, and slowly over time, you'll get more comfortable with this kind of feeling of not knowing. You'll slowly pick up the vocabulary over time. Your kind of understanding of the meaning of words will improve, and obviously, as you know more words, the experience will be more fun. So I think that, with The Sims, it really is an amazing experience, especially for beginners, but really, I think anyone can get value out of it. And like I said, it's a very casual experience. You can get by with not knowing a ton of vocabulary, but still kind of start getting a lot of vocabulary acquisition, but kind of in a fun manner. I think that the really key point here, though, is that don't, neglect the language learning. It's very easy to skip it because it's a little bit more of a casual experience. But I do think that, if you kind of put in that concerted effort to get some language learning out as you play, you can get a lot of value out of this game. So that's what I had to say on learning languages with The Sims. Let me know what you think, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.